Hi, my name is Bryson LeClaire. In this presentation, we will explore the interactions between science and medicine, religion and moral values, revolution, and power and politics throughout history. We will examine these themes through four primary sources: Avicenna's medieval philosophy, the American Revolution, and Marx's 1848 Manifesto. By doing so, we aim to understand the enduring tensions and mutual influences that shape our modern narrative. To begin with, Avicenna's bridge between science and religion. Avicenna's treatise on the soul illustrates the harmonious integration between science and the spirit throughout Middle Eastern thought. So he was a philosopher and a mathematician and a doctor, so he had all the credentials to talk about this sort of thing. His understanding and description of the human mind and intellect reflect divine principles. He states the soul is like a mirror. Whenever it wishes, it can make its form appear. This perspective intersects empirical inquiry at the forefront of moral and theological concerns, demonstrating to us, the viewer, that science and religion weren't in opposition but rather deeply entwined. And to the right is an excerpt from one of his famous writings. This is a medical book, and actually it had some pretty decent stuff in it. And this had a vast influence all the way from the Middle Eastern to Europe to even America. So next up is the Boston Massacre, demonstrating to us revolution and politics. So we may observe from 1770 Captain Thomas Preston's account of the Boston Massacre. Being British and possibly biased, which I'll leave that opinion up to you, he argues that the soldiers acted purely in self-defense. However, the colonial narrative utilized the power of the media to rewrite this as a symbol of British oppression. This incident, being one of many, intensified the revolutionary sentiment, exhibiting how political power and public perception radicalize the path leading towards independence. And to the right up here is just an image of that. You can notice how the colonists are kind of the victims in this situation, but his account of this says otherwise. Next up, Marx and Engels. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, who wrote the Communist Manifesto, boldly state, "The history of all societies is a history of class struggles." This text and thought reshaped political thought for centuries to come. Their ideology was based on the idea that every age was shaped by conflict between the rich and the poor. They often utilized the Industrial Revolution to kind of illustrate their point, talking about how the factory owners who gained their wealth and influence from the factories but often neglected their workers who faced challenging conditions, unfair payment, and just overall negative things. Because of this, Marx pushed workers to revolt, encouraging them to seize the means of production, demonstrating how changes in the economy, such as Mercantilism and then the coming of communism, can drive factors that revolutionize and reshape modern politics. And to the right is Karl Marx, who is credited for being the founder of communism. Interconnections and tensions. By observing these examples firsthand, we may see how closely these themes correlate. Avicenna's work and writing remind us how closely science and religion are together. Working hand in hand, these have a vast influence globally on people's perception of knowledge and the soul. The Boston Massacre effectively illustrates how moral arguments and public opinions can shift a conflict into a catalyst for revolution. Because of the fall of mercantilism and Marx's attempt to replace it, we can observe that an economy that varies may cause changes in distribution of power, leading to new movements and governance. Together, these sources and events highlight that history is derived from not a singular force, but through the interplay of ideas, beliefs, and struggles that have collectively formed modern society. To conclude, by examining these themes and their relationships, we're allowed to gain a broader perspective of history. Science and medicine don't develop in isolation, but often challenge or even reshape religious and moral values. The Boston Massacre serves as a reminder that public opinion morality is a strong driver for political change. At the same time, Avicenna illustrates how faith and science can coexist and complement one another. Revolutions aren't spontaneous but emerge from the political struggles and deep-rooted economic tensions amongst the majority. By connecting these examples, we may observe history as a network of interconnected forces, all influencing one another. By understanding these connections, they provide a richer view of the past and help us make sense of the complex world we navigate today. And then here's my works cited. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and if you have any more questions, just let me know. I look forward to seeing your thoughts on it. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.